All right.
This that I was looking at right here.
No, I can't see your camera now.
Oh.
Well, is one of these close?
Yes, that one right there.
This one?
Um,
This one?
yes.
Okay.
They both are the same, actually.
Yeah, they're not too far off. All right. So I'll start my drawing kind of based off of that. So I always have to put it in a box so that I feel like I understand how it's going to fit when I start to do it in perspective. So there's those little tails that come off the edge back here. And I see what you mean kind of about the bottom sticking out a little further on the bee.
She's true. You're okay, girl. Cass, come here. Come here.
Oh man. Okay. All right, so I've got the letter drawn and I'm happy enough with it. So now I just need to do, pick the space that it's going to be on. And I've talked to you guys about changing up the vanishing points, but I haven't really done it. So I'm going to do it with this one, which will probably require a longer ruler, but I'm still going to try to stick with what Steph, was struggling with, so we don't, this demo is mostly about you stuff. So the horizon line is going to be below on this one. And I'm going to put a point here and a point here. And I'm going to put the letter over closer to this point, so we might get a little more extreme turn on the one side. My ruler's just not reaching. Okay, And then I know the right side of the B is going to be a little more narrow anyway, but I'm going to squeeze it even a little more because I'm trying to really communicate that turn. And I'm going to make this, you know, Steph, should I make this wider? I feel like it might help you if it was a little wider, actually.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, let's make it a little bit wider. I can never tell if I'm really making a straight line or not, so I'm just lining it up. There. Okay, so I'm going to go a little narrower because it's in perspective than the rectangle I have here. You know, I don't want it to feel exactly the same, or I'll really be drawing something wider. So we're just kind of eyeballing it, but I'm going to pick a shape a little taller than this feels because of foreshortening. So this is as far as I'm going to go with the box until I've drawn the letter B on the front side, just so I can avoid those lines in the background being distracting. So to sketch out that letter B, you know, it's really important to do it within the boundaries and up to the boundaries of this rectangle. Okay, so I'm going to draw the same X on this letter B to help me. It's just like, have you guys ever drawn a grid on something so you could copy it to like a bigger grid or a smaller grid? Not counting our grid portrait. That's just what I'm doing. I'm going to draw 2 more lines just to help me with kind of how big the opening of the B is, and I'm going to do the same thing over here to help me with where the width of the back side of this goes. Okay, so very lightly I'll sketch right there. And right there. Now, I'm just going to try to draw that letter B now in perspective to the best of my ability. So I'm noticing sort of where the B crosses over these points, and that's helping sort of guide me with that. So can you see that I'm trying to be pretty meticulous about following along with, where this letter should exist, where it crosses over these grid lines. I never drew that line straight down, but looks like it meets up about here. This does not come all the way out, and that's, Steph, that's what you did too. There's the point that leaves the top of the box. Crosses through here. Alright, so I think I've done a pretty good job sketching this out, but I haven't really made certain that any of the horizontal lines were in perspective. And I'm thinking of, these aren't, this is horizontal, these are curved, this line is a horizontal, and so is this. So I need to make sure that they are going back to the vanishing point at the right angle. So, I drew the letter, but I'm going to sort of reinforce some of those angles. So as I get more confident, do you see how my line is a little darker? So just so I'm sure of what my letter is becoming and keeping it really clean. Another thing I can pay attention to is that, this line, it wouldn't match up with, a horizontal line. It would actually be going up more than that, or a horizontal line in perspective. So if this does match up with my ruler, what that actually tells me is I probably need a little more extreme curve happening to get that B to look right. I drew a line like this, and it matched up with the top of the B, so I could double check that by drawing this same line. Do I want it to go up that high? Oh, okay. Maybe I do. So you can see how I'm finding points to sort of check off of. Oh, I actually like that a lot better. And again, there's so many lines that are going to be in this drawing that I'm kind of erasing anything extra so it doesn't get too confusing. Okay, so now I've got the letters sketched out. I guess I could clean it up a little bit more, but I don't think it looks too bad. And I'm going to start to make the letter into something three-dimensional. So I need to start projecting it basically onto the back side of the box. I haven't drawn that yet, so I'm going to finish this box that I started earlier and draw the back side of it. This is where we start to get a whole lot of lines. And it can get a little confusing. These two lines, you know, we can see the bottom of the box and that back corner where they intersect. Now we need to locate these same lines where it goes back to the vanishing point. And that is where those lines are going to meet. So that's going to be the back side of the box. It's not perfect. It's not lining up perfectly. All right, so let's try right there. All right. So now that we have that, I'm going to darken this line a little more. All right, so now let's go with you know, kind of finishing this. So the corner of the B here is going to go back to the vanishing point. I could draw, you know, the line all the way through, but there's going to be a whole lot of lines. So here's another point that needs to go back to the vanishing point, and I don't know where that ends, so I am going to draw it. I don't know if I'll be seeing through the B or not, so I'm just going to draw it the whole way. This back corner, I don't think you're going to see that, but let's see. Yeah, no, there's never going to be a point where we see the top of that. If the angle went something like, you know, this, we would, but that's not what's happening. Then lining up we talked about this earlier, finding those curves. Lining up the ruler with the vanishing point, I'm going to slowly turn it in until I hit the first point on the B. That's going to give me the outside edge of the letter, and that's going to end exactly at the back side of the box. No, it won't. That was a lie. No, it won't. If it went all the way out to here, it would, right? But actually, this line is going to end somewhere back here, so I shouldn't have drawn it that way. Let me keep going with that line. Let's keep going. All right. So we don't know quite where that is going to end. Here's how we can find out, though. Let's locate this point on the back side of the box. And if I can just jump over here and maybe do a quick little demo that maybe will help some people understand this whole, you know, thing that I keep doing, tracing lines back to the back side of the box. So I'm just going to draw like a little simpler box. That was not a good line. Hold on. This linear perspective thing is important because your final is going to be 2-point linear perspective. hope you guys see how careful I am as I draw these, and I still don't get the lines to match up in the background. So this is the front side of the box, right? And this back here is the back side. I should be able to find a point, the corresponding point anywhere, that's on the front point, on the front side of the box with the back side. So let's say I just want to locate this point. Where would it go on the back side of that box? Well, the first thing I would think to do is draw a line back. So it's somewhere on here, and I could eyeball that I think it's right about there, but I don't really know. The only way I'm ever going to know for sure is to locate that distance right here and the distance here to say, how far is this, relative to the side of the box. So if I do this more horizontal check, what I would do is go from that point out toward the vanishing point, where I hit the back of the box, go back to the other vanishing point, and then I'll hit this back side of the box, and draw a line out. And that point, knowing that distance in perspective is what tells me where this point would be. Does that make sense? So you're almost making like a little rectangle in perspective every time you need to find a point. Hopefully that was helpful. I don't know if it was. Okay, so we found the edge of this, but we don't know where this ends back here. So the way we can do that, the way we can find that exact point is to go straight up or we could go out to the side. That's what I just did in my demo. But either way, it's like you're wrapping a ribbon around the box. So we'll go back to the back side of the box, and then I'll go straight down again. And do you see how I'm running into, see where I run into this same line? Well, that makes that the corresponding point where that B is going to end and then start to curve, back in. So then I've got to find the next curve here, and I'll do it the same way. I line the roller up with the vanishing point until I hit that next curve, that next bump, and draw that in. Now the point where this touches the box, and I can get a little more specific about that, I guess. It would be right about here. So if I draw a line straight back from there, that does show me exactly where the edge of the box touches. So I can sort of imagine what that curve is from the boundary of this bump, down to that point. Then I could curve back in. I see, a curve that I think I can replicate, but what I would really like to know is where I need to meet up with the back of the box again. So I'll draw a line down here, and that point where those two intersect shows me, I think I'm capable of eyeballing the rest of it, but it sort of shows me where I have to join up. Now, as far as figuring out what do I see through these holes, I'm going to have to find, I guess, basically the back point, this on the back side of the box. So down here, where would that point be on that back plane? So the way I can find that is, I just showed you guys that wrapping around like that. There's a point kind of in a similar spot, so I'm going to draw a line back this way where I run into the box. I'll travel forward, or well, it's still back, I guess, until I hit the back corner of the box. If you're not sure where the back corner of the box is, just keep going, but the back corner of the box, here it is right there. So then I'll draw a line back out. And I run into this point, because I already drew this line back to the vanishing point a while ago. I run into it right here. So that tells me I'm going to see this much through that letter. So will I see anything on the top? Well, this is a straight line, so if I follow this straight line up, no, I never see that in the opening. So that was a quick answer for the upper part, but took a little longer to find that answer for the lower part of the B. So that's complete. Do you have any questions about that?
No.
Okay. Then I think we'll move on to the... Do you guys have any other questions right now, or can I move on to the next, the O?